Breaking news on Seattle Seahawks today as your Seattle Seahawks have cut safeties Jamal Adams and Quandre Diggs, as well as tight end Will Dissly. A new era of Seahawks football. Pete Carroll and John Schneider made Adams and Diggs the richest safeties in the National Football League, and now Schneider and Mike Macdonald have made them unemployed. Here's the reaction from Tom Pelissero of the NFL Network, tweeting out the following. The Seahawks are releasing three-time Pro Bowl safeties Jamal Adams and Quandre Diggs per sources. The move saves $27.5 million in cash and significant cap space for Seattle, which will look a lot different in the Mike Macdonald era. More from Pelissero a couple minutes later, tweeting out the following. The Seahawks are also releasing veteran tight end Will Dissly per source. Seattle saves $7 million in cash and salary cap space, while Dissly, who has 13 career touchdowns, hits the market at age 27. So now with these moves, the Seahawks free up a ton of money. You're looking at, with the new salary cap that went up $30 million for everybody across the National Football League, and then these moves here, the Seahawks should have around $47 million in cap space for the 2024 season. And you look at what's ahead. Next week, free agency. We'll, of course, be talking plenty of trade rumors over the coming weeks. And then you got to have money for your draft picks as well, just to be able to sign those guys. And so I look at this for Seattle to make these moves like they did. It made a ton of sense. We're going to show you some numbers here coming up in just a bit. But let's face it, when you look at all three of these guys, what do they all have in common? They all weren't great last year, if we're going to be honest. Jamal Adams was awful in 2023, specifically what he did in coverage. He was a liability. The Seahawks team was better without him on the football field. Quandre Diggs had the worst season he's had in a long time. In every major category, according to PFF last year, was a disaster for him. And then Will Dissly, I think it's not even necessarily his fault, just was kind of kicked aside in this offense last year under Shane Waldron, and the way that they were doing things, he was kind of forgotten about of some sort. So he certainly wasn't worth paying for the lack of production that he produced. So for me, all three of these decisions, it was the right call for Seattle. And now you move forward from here as you retool this roster. What is your one-word reaction? I'll give you my one-word reaction here in just a moment, but want to hear from you guys first. Let us know in the comments section your one-word reaction to the Seahawks moving on with these roster cuts. My one word is needed. This was a decision where I understand there's some loyalties here. Jamal Adams, you gave up a ton for in the trade market, which I thought ended up being the worst trade in the history of this franchise. Quandre Diggs has been a great leader for this Seahawks team and has done a lot for this group over the years, but it was time. And then Will Dissly. We know he's talented. We know he's a good football player, but the production did not match the money that he was about to be owed. It just didn't make financial sense for Seattle to hang on to Will Dissly. So in all three of these cases, I understand where you might have some loyalties, why you would want to stay with these guys and be loyal to them. I get it. But this was a needed move. This needed to happen for the Seattle Seahawks to go forward and start this reset for the franchise going forward from here. Folks, this is why you subscribe to Seattle Seahawks today as we bring you the latest happenings in your favorite team. We just put a video out about an hour ago on Russell Wilson, and then me and producer Sam, we got our resources together, and bam, we just made you this video as quick as we could here on the channel. The latest happenings in your favorite team are covered each and every day, all off season long, as we're talking free agency, trades, the draft, and more. Anytime they make a move, we're going to make a video as quick as we can here on the channel. Subscribe now, join the family, help us reach 50.5 thousand subs, just over 70 away from reaching that next milestone. Subscribe now for free. Lock us in all off season long right here on Seahawks Today. The numbers from Jamal Adams this past season. Jamal Adams was a disaster in 2023, if we're going to be frank with you. Coming off the injuries, couldn't stay healthy even this past year, and the numbers that he had to show for it were not great. 48 tackles, 7 tackles for loss, 2 pass breakups. He was decent when it came to his pass rush ability, but he was just absolutely awful in coverage. I mean, quarterbacks were having a field day throwing Jamal Adams' direction this past year. An 82% completion percentage. Are you kidding me? A quarterback rating of 122.1. My goodness. Jamal Adams is going to be available for somebody to sign. I don't know why anyone would want Jamal Adams with those type of statistics besides just the money. Obviously, he's not going to get the money he was making in Seattle elsewhere, but production-wise, Jamal Adams, my God, it's just brutal. Meanwhile, when you look at Quandre Diggs, his numbers, it was a down year last year. But what we had seen from Quandre Diggs over the last couple of seasons was a guy that was playing at a Pro Bowl level. This was his first down year. A guy like Quandre Diggs, I still think has a shot to be a good football player in this league. And potentially, there's a possibility of him even coming back to Seattle for less money if he's willing to play for a smaller contract of sorts, but they certainly weren't going to pay him the money that he was due this upcoming season. You can see last year allowed a 71% completion percentage, 95.4 quarterback rating. The silver lining, I would say, with Quandre Diggs, where I would be willing to give him a second chance, is to see what he could potentially do in this system under Mike Macdonald. I expect this system, the coaching, to be significantly better for guys like Quandre Diggs to be able to have the opportunity to perform at a high level. If he's not back, then you're looking at this safety room being led by Julian Love, who's coming off a Pro Bowl year where he was fantastic this past season. You brought him in from the New York Giants. Kobe Bryant, a part of the equation, the third-year player out of Cincinnati. And then from there, I would think that the Seahawks probably go with some more changes, whether it's in the draft or potentially looking at free agency to get some help. Another name to keep in mind, Geno Stone from the Baltimore Ravens. The Ravens are not expected to bring Stone back. He had 7 interceptions this past year in Baltimore, excelled in Mike Macdonald's system, and he's not going to cost a lot either as far as that goes. Quandre Diggs, I feel a whole lot different about than I do Jamal Adams. Like with Jamal, it's good riddance. It's get the hell out of here. I never want to see you ever again. With Quandre Diggs, it's, man, it was a good run. I hate that it had to end this way, but like Quandre says here, forever grateful. Quandre Diggs will always be a member of the Seattle Seahawks. He is a 12 through and through. Jamal Adams is a stain on this franchise and the legacy of this organization as far as that goes. So to me, that's kind of the difference that I look at between these two individuals and their legacies with these teams going forward. As far as Will Dissly goes, I just think about the missed opportunity. I know that it sucks for Will Dissly to get cut like this and to lose out on the money that he could have potentially earned, but the way that he was used, or lack thereof, in this Seahawks offense, with the tight ends just being completely ignored, and same thing with Colby Parkinson and Noah Fant, there just wasn't an opportunity for Will Dissly to succeed at a high level. Maybe the Seahawks potentially, he's another one that I wouldn't rule out for a smaller contract potentially down the road, to bring him back. But my hope is that the lesson learned, okay, with this new offensive system coming in under Ryan Grubb and everything, is that the Seahawks start effectively using the tight end. What is the theme that you looked at of teams that were in conference championship games last year? What did they all have in common? The Kansas City Chiefs, the San Francisco 49ers, the Detroit Lions, the Baltimore Ravens. All of them had elite tight end play. Sam Laporta in Detroit, Mark Andrews and Isaiah Likely in Baltimore, Travis Kelce in Kansas City, George Kittle in San Francisco. You have to have elite tight end play if you want to succeed in the National Football League. Bar none, it's that simple. That's what it takes. Seattle doesn't have that right now. I expect some changes. To me, we kind of knew about the safety position. Now let's see what they do when it comes to investing at that tight end spot. $47 million freed up right now, and there is more coming. There will be more cuts in the very near future. Who do you think the Seahawks should cut next? Give me a name that comes to mind. Now we wait. What do they do about Tyler Lockett? Can they restructure? Do they trade, or are they going to have to just straight up cut him? What do you guys think? Who should be cut next? Weigh in the comment section. Let me know what you think. Appreciate you joining us here, folks. These moves by the Seahawks, I know that it doesn't always feel good, especially a guy like Quandre, who we become attached to. But at the end of the day, this is a business decision. I don't want Mike Macdonald to have to deal with Jamal Adams and deal with an older Quandre Diggs. He deserved a fresh start, deserved to move forward. And that's what you're seeing with the Seahawks team. It's moving forward, hitting the reset button. Subscribe now for the latest happenings in your favorite team. We'll continue to cover this team throughout the offseason. More is on the way. Lock us in. We'll see you next time.